been a minute.
Yes, it has.
Like a lot of minutes.
You just turned to your microphone when that happened. It was perfect. Start it that way every time.
Okay, we're
I don't know. I don't know what any of that means that you just said.
I think we're still rolling, and that's good. I think their listeners will notice that we've got a guest.
Take two.
We got a guest engineer today.
We do. Yeah, we should acknowledge right out of the gate here. Introduce yourself, new engineer guy.
That's you.
Hi, I'm Misha.
Hi,
I'm Rick
Misha.
Boone.
Hi, Misha.
I'm Rick Boone. New Rick Boone.
Rick Boone 2, 2.0.
Part deux.
Part two.
Boone. Part deux.
We're like just part duh.
Yeah, duh.
So one of the things that we've talked about.
Welcome, Misha.
Yeah, well,
Yes, welcome.
thank you for stepping in.
The reason why
Stepping in it.
The reason why Misha's here. One of the things that we talked about. We just recently finished a gig, and it was really cool to be on that gig and actually meet a couple people that I didn't know, but they knew me through the podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Devin walked up to me. He's like, "Hey, Jamie, just wanted to say how awesome that podcast is." And I'm like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, it's a weird thing
Oh, it is weird
when people come up to you and actually compliment you on it.
Yeah.
I mean, because we've had a couple people that you've met and have said the same thing. Like, oh, listen, like, and we said this before. The first reaction for some reason is, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
Yeah, apologies.
Yeah.
And abundance. And then followed quickly by a brain scan of, holy shit, what have I been saying? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then another apology.
Yeah.
But the one thing that popped out of these conversations was, we wish you like had this in more frequency. We wish that you guys were doing this in more continuous basis. And what we've done in the past is we just try to make sure everybody's available, and that's not an ideal world.
Right.
No, well, because we have real jobs.
Yeah.
All of us have real jobs, all separate jobs that travel and have productions and gigs and all the things. So
Mr. Boone's on another job right now. And what we decided is we're going to do this like every 2 weeks, right? Is that sort of what we decided? Is like
Absolutely.
Every 2 weeks, that's what we're going to do.
So sorry, listener, you're going to get a lot more.
Absolutely. But that also means that sometimes some of us aren't available. So filling in for Rick Boone today is Misha.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Misha.
No problem.
So far.
But it was really cool to hear these people say, "Oh man, and it's like, holy shit, I guess I need to quit cussing, quit like talking about like."
No,
Yeah.
you should lean into it.
Okay, good.
Man, lean.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, like really hard into it. But keep your pants on, please.
Yes.
Always keep your pants on. So, okay, any new things we've covered? Like our typical stuff is conspiracy theories, tech.
Yeah.
So
And shows.
and shows, yeah. What we're consuming.
What are you consuming?
What's on our
It can be in
algorithm.
any version, any form.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I just finished the rehearsal.
Same.
I haven't started.
My God.
I'm not gonna give anything away here, but
Please
just
don't.
for listeners who have maybe also enjoyed the rehearsal, us pilots, one of my favorite us pilots. And by the way, if you haven't seen the clips on Kimmel or Fallon or wherever he's made the rounds, he's just a master at what he does. And,
Kids these days don't understand the long game.
that you watched play out over this.
And how much thought had to go into all of this.
Thought, money, planning. I mean,
And-
unbelievable.
And once you sort of realize the long game that he's played with this, and then you're like, holy crap, he was doing that during the show that he was doing on Paramount, which is what, The Curse? Yeah.
Oh, The Curse? Yeah.
I mean, he had to be like,
Got his commercial pilot's license.
I know. It's like, and it just blows me away. It's like, wow. And
I will say this, and not just because of the show, but because of how meta it's becoming with him then extending this sense of self on these interviews that he's doing. He's now called out Sully for, Miracle on the Hudson. He was like, I don't know, my miracle in I forget what the name of the
sky.
desert
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
The miracle in the
I know.
Mojave or something.
I know.
He goes, but I didn't land on water.
exactly.
Like a dig to
I know. And that's I really, really And I tell you what, after,
Andy Kaufman would be proud if he were alive
Absolutely.
today. This guy has taken that to another level. And I love, again, a takeaway for me was his quote. It may be the very last line on the last episode, which he basically says, of all the rigors you go through to be in here in this cockpit, it basically means if you're in this cockpit, you're okay. As almost like talking to himself.
Exactly.
Like, so I have to be okay if I'm in here.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it hits a whole level of.
I've seen clips, but every clip I see is like, that's different.
But there's a whole nother undercurrent through the whole thing when you put it all together and realize, to Jamie's point, the time, the planning, the thought, and then some of these subtleties of like, oh, you're just kind of awkwardly confirming to yourself that you're okay by going through this multi-year process.
And spending a ton of HBO money.
Oh, dude, he and John Oliver, what beautiful budgets.
Oh, I know.
What beautiful budgets.
I know.
And well used.
Oh, yeah. No,
Every penny. Kudos.
Well, I hope we still have that freedom, in a few.
Oh, do you have concern?
Yeah, anyway, we won't get to that. No, but I loved, I just thought it was brilliant. It's probably the most brilliant thing I've seen in a long time as far as the long game.
That's a great point, because it really is. If you just, through today's eyes, of somebody that's used to the, short version of art form of things, you jump in one episode on the front of this and you just walk away like, that. I don't know what that's supposed to be, but I don't
it's
need
kind of
to
like that,
watch that, right?
I cannot remember the name of that show. That was another HBO show. It was the one guy that just shoots stuff randomly around.
Oh, John Wilson.
Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what's interesting is just talking about the rehearsal, John Wilson. We have a special guest with us today.
That's right.
We do have a special guest with us.
And this is someone that plays in this world. I want to talk to him about his style, his preferences, preferred art form, but he dabbles in video. Well, I'm not going to set him up. I want to talk to him about it. We'll learn about it. This is our very special friend. We've all worked with him in the studio. We've pulled him in on fun gigs, shit gigs. He's always smiling, always laughs, all the way through to the end. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Tevan Morton.
Hello, thank you.
Welcome, buddy.
Hey, welcome, Tevan.
Long overdue. You were one of the first names that made our list when we just started making shit up on.
It's a short list, though. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be on that list opposed to any other list. So.
Well, see, he was here yesterday helping me set up the space.
Yeah.
And
nice.
And so I was like, hey, you want to be on the podcast tomorrow? And I think he was just like, oh, yeah, Well, here you are.
Yes,
I was like, oh, yeah. And I'm still like, oh, yeah, I'm here, I guess. Like,
Shit just got real.
Yeah.
I just put it was like, it's on the calendar, just another job,
Well, it's not a paying gig, so sorry.
It's all right.
No per diem, no stipend.
It's the experience.
Real quick, set up for us how you find yourself here. Your history with Video Bread, what put them on your radar, what you've done.
Just since I've been here.
Yeah. Just give us the Cliff Notes version.
So it starts with y'all's other guest. That was a classic, Parker Smith.
Okay.
Yes.
Me and him.
Parker Smith.
Parker Smith.
Yeah, talk about that.
Me and him, we met at WKU, and we're just another alums from Western. And we both had just like a couple film classes together. And then once he graduated, he got his job here at Video Bread. And then he put a word in for me. And
I don't know that I knew you guys were at Western together.
Yeah.
Nice.
We had capstone class and cinematography class. And yeah, we were just being silly then, being silly now. So
Now, I forgot about Parker, but screw him. He's not here. What about you? Is your family here or
I'm from Georgetown.
You are? Okay.
Yeah, so family's out there in like Lexington. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
So this was a move from Western straight to Video Bread after the internship?
Pretty much about a year. I moved back to Georgetown for a little bit, and then Parker told me about this. I was like, okay. I was commuting for like an hour for like about a year, and then I finally moved up here. Nice. And then Parker, he ventured off his own ways, but still makes sense,
Yeah.
It makes sense in the long game, But yeah, he got me here, and since I got here, I just made myself comfortable. I've dabbled in just kind of learning every little, thing that kind of interests me organically, like, just either through editing stuff, graphic design. I've been learning a lot of lighting. Mish has been helping me learn a lot of cinematography type stuff. So I'm just like kind of bringing it in, trying to make, personal projects now. So
yeah, and they drag you on everything. Like every shoot that I see, it's video bed related. Like, oh, there's Tevan.
Yeah, I'm just on it. I'm not.
Yeah, and you don't say no to anything.
It's kind of like just a blur, really. I kind of like don't really realize how many things I know now.
Well, let me ask you, to that point, this taps into something we've talked about more than once on the podcast. All these disciplines that are interrelated each feed into the other. And so as you learn about each of these elements, do you find that it better informs your work as an editor, storyteller? I mean,
for sure. It almost makes me feel like, because it's like when I first started working here, I had another friend, Jairus, who used to work here, and he's also a Western alumni as well.
There are other schools.
Yeah, not if you want to be a film. Well,
this episode is brought to you by Western Kentucky University, located in beautiful Bowling Green, Kentucky.
I will say a couple of
West
things.
Side?
And you started here as an intern, bro.
Yeah,
you were an intern.
Yeah,
and when I met you for the first time, I just loved I loved all the films you had seen, and you came with like films that I hadn't seen, like old Hitchcock films, and because it's like I'm not going to watch that one. I mean, there's newer films, and you're like, no, you really should check this out. I mean, and so it really got me into watching movies again, and just the way you think, the way you frame, and I could just tell that you were going somewhere, and it's like I would love to have you around Video Bread.
You do seem like a man out of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of just don't really keep up.
Like you could be 23 or 43. I have no idea how old you are.
I might be 83. I don't know. I might be 3. I don't know.
I mean, you go to his office and he's got The Shining, and it's like, holy shit, you love The Shining. And it's like and it's just crazy.
Good taste is ageless.
Yeah,
I think that's the thing. So it's like,
yeah, I think it's like, at first it's really just kind of look at it like a study. It's like I like a lot of just different styles visually, and like once I learn more about just film on a craft basis, because at first it's like I just want to make like something cool, and then but then
we
after
all do.
but you know what I mean, kind of in just like the most like action movie, just kind of you're
surface
not really
way,
surface, you're not really thinking about it, you're just kind of just like, oh, I like that cool thing, all this, and then as you kind of just learn and like appreciate different things that is cool or like outside of the box. And I think like my taste has developed over just being curious about finding like newer things to be like, okay, that's something I wouldn't typically, immediately jump out to. Let me like check that out. But lately, as I've been trying to like make more of my stuff and like the skills kind of honing in and stuff, because like you said, like you learn like cinematography, but then like you think about how you can incorporate that with editing, or you learn VFX, and now you're like, okay, now I'm starting to really understand like the movie magic and the cleverness of it. I mean, even like down to thinking about layers and graphic design is really like allowing me to think a lot about like, say like rear projection, and just thinking in terms of layers and perspective, just like stuff like that, where I'm like, now that stuff's cool, and now I can't talk to nobody normal anymore, because
right?
You're in the right room right now.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, this set today, with Rick having another session, we had to set up another place today.
Right.
Tevin had already set up this rear projection for another thing that he's working on, testing on, playing with, and I was like, hey, dude, could I use this background? He's like, absolutely, and I was like, I'll trade you for a brighter lumen projector, and that's just what we do. But look at the shirt he's wearing right now.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Okay.
I caught that earlier.
Very scary.
I have never seen that movie.
What?
I know, and I'm a huge John Carpenter fan.
I thought that was like like if you're in this business, that was like a
I have to watch it. And that's the thing is, I at that time, was like, that movie looks goofy,
Oh, it is.
Because I grew up with it, right?
Yeah.
It's goofy, but it's like the most relevant movie.
I know. It's super poignant.
But he convinced me to watch Thief with Michael Mann, or we had talked about it or whatever. Yeah. And I watched this movie, one of Michael Mann's like early films, Thief, with James Caan, and I was like, this movie is brilliant. It's beautiful. It's like, and so that's what I said, man. He's special.
Do you find like, because so when you're a film buff and all this, sometimes there are movies that you come across that are specifically tailored for you.
Yeah,
because
I think-
we have movies like that we talk about that are our favorites, but
Yeah, no, for sure. There's
you
definitely
show them to somebody else, they're like, "That movie's terrible."
exactly.
What were you talking about?
No, you definitely got those like movies you got to like defend yourself for.
Yeah.
'cause you like
Yeah.
them just for
Why'd
a
you
particular
recommend that?
reason. But see, like Thief is one that's like the vibe that I visually am like trying to figure out how can I actually
How to
achieve.
emulate,
Yeah.
And that and like King of New York is one I keep going
Oh,
back
yeah,
to.
nice.
Like stuff that it's just way more stylized, and it is like starting to be like style over substance, because I think like you can get caught in like thinking like you got to be like super deep and all these things, and it's like I appreciate those things too, but like it's also just like let's just make it look cool. Like I just want you to look at it and just be like really taken away by what the world
Transported.
is. Yeah, kind of a heightened reality. So it's like learning what you actually need to achieve things.
Yeah,
like
I
that.
totally get that.
Well, so we talked.
I have a quick question, real quick, before it loses my train of thought. Okay, and when we were in our last gig, you guys told me that a movie that I had to watch. 'Cause
Yes.
it was amazingly awesome.
Oh, please tell me you did.
I haven't watched it. Hold on a second.
Fuck.
What was it? Gentlemen Broncos.
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever seen Gentlemen Broncos?
I've heard of it, and then that's the Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, the
director.
makers, yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen a trailer for it recently because
It's
I was
really,
kind of going through.
yeah, it doesn't really do it justice. Again, it's not.
Maybe.
Sounds like a lot's going on.
I think
There is a lot
you and I will watch it, and then we'll figure out if they're crazy or not.
Do that.
Okay, we're gonna do that. Then.
Do that.
But it was like the seed for White Lotus when you really look at it, because it has all the players from White Lotus.
Dude, the way you just said that to me and looked at me.
The seed.
The seed.
Well, after watching,
I said
after
the
watching,
seed, not my
after
seed.
watching, after watching the rehearsal, he looked up and looked down and looked up, and I was like,
yeah. So that's an example. Gentlemen
Yeah.
Broncos. Is,
Okay.
it's actually a family favorite in like, my household. Even
Here's one that I mean I don't. Yeah, I'll just say it. Have you seen Eating Raoul? It's an '80s movie. I feel like that's one.
Sounds familiar.
and I heard that's great.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite movies, but it's really goofy. Like I mean,
Yeah.
it's,
What was the one?
I like it
that
because it feels
Jeffries,
like a cartoon in real life kind of thing.
Oh, that's cool.
The one that Jeffries kept trying to get us to watch. Oh, the Greasy Strangler.
I've seen that one like years ago. I think I tried to delete that one from my brain. I can't, but I know I've seen it. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I did not listen to that one. I mean, I would watch that one.
No, neither.
Yeah,
Neither.
So, I mean,
But see, I think there's a thing too. Like, there's a certain merit about like certain bad movies or certain like just oddball movies that you kind of have to look at with an artistic
Yes.
lens more than just like slop. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like,
Agree.
There's just different type of bad movies the same way there's different type of good movies.
And there's that special slot for the really bad movies, but that have, for whatever reason, the value that mandates you watch them. Right? There's certain.
Yeah, like it's like I'd say like like a Megalopolis was kind of like
Yeah.
that, where it's not explicitly, it's not a good movie, but it's
Right.
like not. You can't really put a finger on why it's not working sometimes because there's just so much of whatever that experience was. It's like, yeah, it's worth checking it out just for a unique.
Well,
visual
or
experience.
like
Dude,
pulling up an old original Ed Wood film. I mean, there's
Yeah.
value
Yeah.
in watching that. As,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's
Earth,
like,
Women on Mars.
I watched the first few minutes of that, and I couldn't.
oh, dude,
I still haven't seen it yet.
I couldn't.
I feel
I couldn't.
there's just certain
you watched
sequences of
you
how
watched that
things-
whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
I mean, it's
man, you are a film buff.
You can acknowledge his nerdism. That's fine.
yeah.
I was going to say before we go down rabbit hole in films, because we can take the whole podcast up with that. I do want to make sure we touch on all those disciplines we were referencing earlier.
yeah.
What is your favorite? What
Oh,
if you got to spend the hours
Favorite.
locked in? What pulls you into that zone where that
Is it-
happy zone?
Yeah, is it like to build off of that? Are you into the pre-production part, like you're planning it, the ideation of it all? Are you into the production part or the post-production part? Like, is that?
Oh, I see what you mean. Let me think, because it's like I think you do have to kind of find those sweet spots in all of those spots because you can spend so much different time there. Like right now, for the music video that I'm trying to put together, I'm more in like on the cusp of pre-production turning into production, so a lot of scheduling stuff. Least favorite part.
Logistics.
Least favorite part.
Matthew can relate to that.
Yeah.
The thing is, I think it's also just trying to find like that exercise and that rhythm of like, I like my favorite part, honestly, is just the sitting down and creating part of it. The part that could last forever. The part that you got to like make sure you like kick your butt up at some point and do it. But I do like to
That Genesis.
Yeah, but it's because it's like I like the research. I like doing the homework of trying to just dream up the vibe. You know what I mean? And
It's world building.
Yeah,
That's what you dig.
I like the world building, and I think it's like more so. I like that, and then I like the magic of like editing and the post production and like really tying it in. But I'm trying to find the rhythm and the fun of like being able to deconstruct that vibe, retain the vibe that you're going for, but deconstruct it, understand like how you can just put it back together very much with ease, very efficiently, and be like, okay, like now I put all the pieces back and it still retains kind of like, the emotion that I'm trying to get out of it. So I think I'm really just thinking more like, how do you hold that, that thing that nobody else really needs to worry about that stuff.
Yep.
So guys, obviously you can tell, between Parker and Tevan, which one went to class.
Hey,
Well, then ironically, the one that now is
teaches
standing in
class.
front of a class.
no, you know what I'm saying? It's like we're the same. It's the same but parallel. Like
We love you, Parker.
we're like the smokestack twins. But yeah, no, it's me and Parker. Like the last day finals capstone, we were both just like back to back, and it was like 1917, like in the computer lab. It was we were holding it, so it's equal.
Yeah. That's what I loved. Western at that time, in that 6-year period, was just putting out just amazing
Yeah.
student talent.
Yeah, and I don't really keep up with them like that lately, but I feel like what I hear, and then our intern last year was at Western, and yeah, it just sounds like the program just keeps improving a whole lot.
That's
so,
good to hear.
Yeah, so it's only uphill, but
I think it's Western and Ball State right now. That's where the real.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because Ball State was David Letterman. That's
Yeah.
So he's put a bunch of money in that program.
That's cool.
but I think another, this turned into like the Western episode, but
Again,
But I
brought
think-
to you by Western Kentucky University. Beautiful
You
Bowling
too could be
Green,
a
Kentucky.
hilltopper.
But I think a lot that like also lended itself was me being in the art department, and a lot of I spent more time in the art department than the film department somehow, as far as just the projects and my time that just I had to commit to those projects. But I think having like those disciplines and then still being able to like exercise, creating visual art and then applying that back to film.
Oh, dude, it's hand in hand.
It's kind of like a cheat code in certain ways, because I got just a different perspective altogether. So
That's kind of how my experience was in college, because I was a double major. I was in television production as one major, but I was also an art major.
Yeah.
And those two did not communicate.
no,
But so I would jump back and forth between the two and do graphics that would then end up in a television production.
Yep.
right.
So,
See, that's the thing. It's like, say, like there was a computer lab that was specifically for film people, but then like there was a computer lab for graphic design.
Right.
But I'm doing film stuff in the graphic.
Right.
So it's like I had like double the access.
Yeah.
And, and it's
Sort of like us with theater and video.
Yes.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
just like, why don't you guys talk to each other?
well, that's,
Ironically,
I'd
these
always ask
worlds. Ironically, these worlds, all of these that we just mentioned, I do think, in our time, they were very isolated,
Yeah.
siloed, and analog.
oh, look
and
at us sharing a mindset.
But now the lines continue to be blurred.
Yeah, that's
across the
Yeah.
board,
That's
which
how
is
it is
great.
for-
One informs the other.
For our youngest daughter, Maggie, she's going to Cincinnati and studying media production. And they actually are now in that mindset of everybody borrows from every department. So that media production department is actually part of the music department.
Oh, wow.
So they're all in the same building, like floors apart. And like, if you're going to do your film production, then you've got the theater kids, you've got the wardrobe department, all of these places that you are going
Exactly.
to borrow
Those
from.
synergies and
Yeah.
collaborations are so impactful and important.
Yeah,
and
100%.
I'm glad those lines continue to be blurred.
Yeah,
It's-
and I think it's like it's also good because it gives them like practical reasons to do it. Like
Yes.
you kind of have like a real concrete idea like what you can do out in the world if
Yeah.
you can contribute. Because I'm like, there's tons of people that know how to build things really fast. There's people that know how to paint things, and it's like, they're always like. In the art department, there's more of that, like, you're really going to have to figure out like a real way to get a job.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
This is all
Starving
cool
artist.
and shit, but what's going to buy groceries?
Yeah. Or it's just a very
Yeah, and
finite, or it's a finite way of like, you can, we'll show you how to sell art, but like, once you know how to do that, the rest is on you kind of
Yes,
thing. So,
exactly.
So I think it's like still being able to find like, in the real world, being creative is just, it's just a mindset. Like you can be
Yeah.
creative doing anything.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah, because my dad is not an artist, but he's he's an electrician, carpenter. He's great with his hands, which are creative things. Like he makes things.
Creative, creative tools.
Yeah, yeah. He just doesn't put it on a canvas or put it in on a television show or whatever. So
And some people are different too, because I think for me to learn, because it's like, being on shoots and stuff, it's like I'm very hands-on. But I think I almost
better than being handsy like Jamie.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
at least
Big difference.
Huge difference.
See,
Big
at least
the
they're on the
word's
table.
out.
At least they're on the table.
The word's out.
We mandated.
Yeah, keep them on the table.
Keep them up here. But
Visible.
Sorry, Devin, that you're still listening.
But like, say for me, I feel like I'm more like
Devin, not Tevin. I was talking earlier to Devin.
We understand the callback. They're more impactful if you don't call back the callback.
Well, I just don't want people
Also,
to
the
think.
callback wasn't recording.
Well, also, people, it's like Tevan. No, it's Tevin.
Yeah, I do have many.
Do you have a lot of
different names.
Tevans?
I have Tevons, Kevins, Devons,
Yeah,
Devon, like
Kevin's the best one.
it's like
there's a T.
It's like people can't say it, they can't pronounce it, they can't spell it. It's like
People in their names.
I feel like I'm just like the monolith from 2001. Like you can't really understand me.
You're just always omnipresent.
With a lot of monkeys around jerking off.
But you see you see how far we go once you figure it out. It's like, now we're in space.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Well, I have a question for you. You talk about this creative process that I fight with is maintaining the intensity of the creative process. So like sometimes I feel like I'm a 70%er is getting to a point where like I'm following my path of what my vision is, but it's maintaining that to the very end.
yeah, I'm no expert. I feel like I just contribute what I contribute like on a day. Sometimes the days are just thinking about it. The other days is just like more hands-on, and like I'm trying to just be more like just put something down opposed to just thinking about it, because I think I'm more of like I have to try to think in big concepts and more than like hands-on. And that's what I was saying. It's like, to be on set and stuff, it's like it's good for me because it's like I'm more just like a heady thinking visionary, like more than thinking about the practicality of how you put it together. So like a lot of that's like
almost like
humbled
you see the vision and you just reverse engineer it from there.
Exactly. Yeah. And you start to learn how you can like delegate roles to people that understand how to do the hands-on
I need to learn
electrician
that.
type stuff better, So it's more like, okay, now I know the vision, but now I can know how to like relay that and tell it to people opposed to trying to like have my hands on everything.
So communication is a big.
That's the biggest.
Listen, children and kids, stay in school and learn communication.
Learn how to communicate. However,
because you can have the best idea in the world, but if you can't tell anybody,
Well, it's interesting. So I'm gonna pull two very polar opposites together, but this is something that always comes up around our show that we do in May, ISAF.
Oh yeah.
These kids, and it's the same thing that you just described. This kid, any of these kids, they're all brilliant, but fast forward beyond the basics to understand 30-some% have patents pending. These are big brain kids, new calculus equation, pancreatic cancer research detection, just across the board. But you can be that brainiac, have an incredible project, and be a shitbird at communicating, and you'll never get funding. You'll never get the ideation process to pull in outside players, all of that stuff. And it's the same in the creative side. Communicating is so key, and ironically, it is the one skill set that is doing a nosedive with the current generation because of this.
Yeah.
Because of a communication device.
Yeah.
Oh, I can smell the irony.
Yeah.
There.
And
Well, I
it's
think it's like-
unbelievable because kids now talk in shorthand, like, they're texting. They don't have the ability to convey a long form thought. I mean, it's just.
Maybe, I think it's like, without trying to look at it like good or bad, it's like, but they do communicate. So there's like a way that
they do communicate.
There's a way that they do communicate.
They
so
do,
I think
but
it's a disconnect from how
I'm talking more within a collaborative environment. So now take that kid, pluck them into this environment, and watch somebody, I guess, learn for the first time
they have
to get
play
their feet
catch-up.
wet of just like, oh shit, how am I
Of social skills,
navigating?
yeah.
But not just a one-on-one, but like within a group setting,
Yeah.
of that collaborative team.
They need a herd. They need
what?
a herd.
A herd?
They need a rehearsal and a herd.
Oh. They need a rehearsal. And
Yeah,
a herd.
yeah, listener. In 2 weeks,
my
in 2 weeks, you'll get it.
Oh yeah, I've got it's our slow time, so
Yep.
I've got a lot of catching up to do.
But they would.
Yeah.
They would
Good
succeed
point.
in that.
But yeah, so communicate. I guess my point is
Yeah.
communication is such a key thing now more than ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're not doing any of this on your own.
Yeah.
I mean, we.
I'm talking specifically in a collaborative process of whatever field work, whatever it is.
And I tell you what,
And I think, I mean,
in a day of emails, man, a handwritten letter, dude. I mean, I know that sounds crazy.
I mean, I look at it's like
Yeah.
email is like something I feel like I've like grown into as far, because it's like as far as like, yeah, it's just been there since like I've been a kid and growing.
Yep.
You hear it, it's like, and necessarily, you guys probably just migrated into it, but I'm like, that's like one of the worst ideas.
Email.
Well, yeah, email.
Yeah, yeah.
Great.
It's just
Yeah.
it's still not very organized. I feel like
No.
how emails just are. I'm like, this is
Well, and
can
some
we
people
just
don't have
pass
email
phase?
etiquette.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It has this
Reply
whole
to
thing.
all listener. If you are guilty, shame
Yeah,
on
yeah.
you.
But I'm like, can we just get past this form of communication? I feel like it's just it's so cluttered. But
It's not going to go anywhere. I'm afraid to say.
but I don't know. That's just my random little comment about email.
Well,
Evan really hates
I do
email.
want to make sure we hit all of our favorite buckets. What are you consuming these days?
What
Yeah,
I
what-
consider-
Any category.
What's on your
with the
algorithm?
eyes, the ears? Yeah. What would
Eyes,
be popping
ears.
up
I
in
feel
your?
like, ironically, I haven't really been watching as many movies, just kind of like on a binge type of level.
Same.
I don't really do that too much. I've been watching music videos, like a lot of things just stylishly trying to take in just to kind of like,
but all short form stuff.
a little shorter. But I like listening to music.
Do you find that the reason, and I think this is my reason that I'm not, well, I've been just working too much, but is because it's long form, is my time is so specific to assign to consuming things that short form just fits those.
Well, my problem is I feel like the thing is with like even like the short form, I'm still say like with music videos, I'm still like watching them like on a desktop kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think I'm kind of like actively seeking it. I never like if I'm watching like short form, like I guess just like Instagram or TikTok or something like that, it's usually by accident. Like as far as like, oh, I'm it's not like it's time for short form. Like, I'm a,
pops up in
it's
your
kind of
feed.
just like a pack of cigarettes that pops up on your screen. You're just like,
Yeah.
okay, and you put your phone down, But yeah, I think as far as like watching movies, I think I just like to give myself like a full undivided attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I also just have to be like kind of just in that not thinking type of mood.
Yeah,
So
passive.
yeah. So I feel like lately I just haven't really been as passive. But I did watch because I want to see the new Mission Impossible this weekend. I don't know what people's opinions are about it here.
Well, it's
I
funny you say
actually
that,
want to see it too.
But I watched the
it-
first one the other day.
It's funny you say that because a podcast I listened to, Pivot, I think's the name of it, Kara Swisher, who I love, just caught me off guard. She's a huge fan of that entire franchise. And
love
it
that
reminded
franchise,
me,
yeah.
it reminded me of its appeal and how I had never seen any of them. And so my wife and I, Mary, made a point like, hey, let's see if we can race through these in time to go see the one in the theater. So we just finished number 2 and we're halfway through number 3 because it is the sort of film that you can say, all right, that's a good place to pause. We'll come back. to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, no, I rewatched the first one the other night, and
You did.
And
I
it's been a first time in a long time since I watched.
I
that one.
still really like the first one.
Yeah, no, the first one's it's cool because it's like you can kind of see just like the humble beginnings of like it before it really it still had like the stunts and the
Yes.
set pieces, but I think like
But now they overshine the movie itself. This
there's
was
so much
before
there's
that.
so much integrated as like part of the
Yes.
presentation, which is fine. I think it's a good direction, but like it was cool to see like because Brian De Palma did that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's very noir.
And it's very noir, very suspenseful, and all the suspense is like very low key. And I think that's really cool, kind of in the age of everything blowing up all the time.
Yep.
Like I think it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to appreciate like a set piece, like whenever he's just trying to like steal the codes from that, and it's like it's about being quiet. It's about like not making noise, and he just knows how to drag out that tension really well.
Yeah.
And there's some crazy like De Palma.
the
framing shots,
shadows.
and all
I'm gonna
that
have to
stuff.
go back and revisit that.
And that's what's cool about kind of the whole franchise, because it's kind of like it definitely has more of like a filmmaker's style type of thing, where it's like it's a plot instead of like, I guess like say like a comic book thing. They kind of just adhere to what that character
But
is.
it's still
it's cool to see like the same character with a different coat of paint on it, essentially. throughout.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah,
you know,
'cause
the second one's John Woo, and
Yep.
it's like totally different from
A lot of doves. A lot of doves.
Yeah, so
A lot of doves.
Well, and I forget how
Well,
many
just it's so-
people have cycled through that. We just started 3 last night in the first hour, and it was like, oh my God, look at all these people in these films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's you know, Lawrence Fishburne's in the
Yes,
first one, and random
yes.
things. Yeah, John Boyd in the first one, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
Emilio Estevez.
Yeah.
Emilio Estevez, who, by the way,
Oh, wow.
first
I
10
forgot
minutes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
done.
yeah, but
I was kind of glad to
I
see
went
that.
to see that movie for Emilio Estevez.
Oh my
Did you
god.
go in with like a Men at Work T-shirt on?
Oh my god.
Is it that like
Mission
Joaquin
failed.
Phoenix
It was-
in The Strangers?
it was Mighty
or whatever,
Ducks.
Or
That
what
was
was
why
it?
I wanted to see
The
it.
Village. Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix in The Village.
That is-
When you could tell he was like, I've read this script. I want to die in the first 20 pages.
Can I be in a coma for most of the movie?
but yeah, no, I like that franchise a lot. I think.
Misha over here being a closet Emilio fan.
I know that's sort of freaking me out a little bit.
You're assuming I'm in the closet about it?
No closet for that guy.
Guess what? To ask Rick if he's into that too. Then we'll know if it's an engineer thing.
Oh yeah. Are you a big Emilio fan?
Well, so what in the world of consumption? So the obvious you talked about. Still a lot of music. Do you have a favorite genre or
Yeah, I mean, I like
eclectic
I like
mix?
rap music. I like
You like the hip hop?
I like the hippity hop.
The hippity
Hippity hop. Yeah, just listen to a lot of Playboy Cardi lately. I feel like it's
nice.
He's somebody in the mainstream that sounds like he shouldn't be, which
Yes,
I
that-
like. You know, it's to me, it's like I've been a fan of Kendrick for a while. I've been a fan of Playboy Cardi for a while, and it's kind of funny how, and this also just other experimental like rap as well as like, you know, Kendrick kind of upholds like a more of a traditional pass the torch of like hip hop, I guess, in its evolution. But it feels like everything that I like about mainstream hip hop or experimental hip hop is also at the mainstream, and that's kind of rare at this. You know, like usually
Yeah.
mainstream means bad, but it's,
Yeah, I know.
But I'm like, maybe mainstream is actually pretty good right now. So,
Yeah, I think every generation goes through that
yeah.
because what's going to happen is that might be peaking right now. You know.
No.
It feels like
Yeah.
it's more in a peak stage
Yeah.
where I feel like, and even like music videos, I feel like, you know, there's kind of the, you know, it's not like the MTV showing, you know, there's like a real showcase place to go, but the production of a lot of music videos are really cool right now.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like they just have to, it sucks that you just have to go out and find them that kind of way rather than them being like
Just go to
on TV.
a cable
like a real
channel.
channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so it's kind of exciting to just see like they're taking like a lot of real like weird cinematic stuff shot on RE cameras and
Yep.
stuff like
Yeah.
that. They really have like an artistic approach to these music videos now, like in a genre in two different worlds I wouldn't think would collide as well. So.
Yeah, and I've noticed too that it like there for a minute there was this big you know, the kind of a mumble rap, you know, esque to everything, which is in the past few years. But now I've seen a lot of guys go back to like this '90s style, you
Yeah,
know, like Coast Contra and those guys that are like they've got these going back and reaching in and get these crazy beats that we were used to hearing in the '90s, and then putting a new style on top of them. But they sound like they're old guys. So it's like, am I looking at an old video or a new video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, that's got me wanting to listen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? In which, I don't know, you go back, is it mainstream? Is it peaking? Or is it getting a new crowd? And I
Yeah.
think it might be getting
Or is it the same way that those 90s and 80s hip hop tracks were sampling songs from the 70s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like put a 20-year staging to everything. It's like, oh, now we're going 20 years back, and that's early 2000s,
I definitely
90s.
I definitely think within the 20 years of things, because now you realize like hip hop has been out for a while, and and the thing is, it's like growing up in the 90s, like, you know, being born of the 90s, but not really fully listening to what is happening around me. But then it's like, you know, I'm remembering and romanticizing a lot of 2000s rap, like seeing
Right.
that for what it is rather than something to gloss over, because it does have its own sound, and then like the 2010s has its own sound. So it's like, and then you get you grow up, you get curious, and you go back and listen to the stuff from the 90s, and then it's like, okay, now I see like the big picture. Now I can even understand like, you know, what right now is kind of happening. Yeah, where you have like different influences of people either like deviating, trying to like go capture an old sound, or they're just making up new sounds. And I think it's cool that we have all these options now, when there used to only be like a
'Cause
handful.
It doesn't feel like, and I always think that when you're in the moment, like you don't feel like that decade or whatever has a sound.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And then that
You
decade
can't really
passes,
decide. Yeah.
and then you go, oh, yeah, it did definitely have a distinct
Yeah.
sound and
Yeah.
flavor.
Well,
to
and
it.
by then it's also got a context, right?
Yeah.
Which means
Yeah.
a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the
You
context
don't
is-
know it when you're in it, but then to go back and observe from a distance, you see what the before and the after. Now it makes complete
Yeah,
sense.
no, and I love just kind of like looking at things like that, like
Yeah.
like I was talking about, just styles, because you kind of just see how something kind of identifies itself at a certain point.
And it's
in
also
time.
a child of the time, and in the like you said, the
Yeah.
context.
But
of it.
but it's funny you mentioned the tools.
The tools have changed.
The tools have changed so much.
Oh yeah, no,
and
hip hop and
just
sampling, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like either not being allowed to sample to where people are just making amazing beats just and throwing them on YouTube, just
Yeah.
full on, off of just like Fruity Loops or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think it's just cool that there's a creativity that's just, you can't stop it. You know what I mean? People are going to find what they can work
Yeah.
on. And then but then there's also all these other like, it's kind of the same with like video and people trying to like make things look like film and digital. It's like the same people are adding like that vinyl warmth or the scratchiness
Yep.
and like that tangible analog feel. Like it's like now we can almost, even though it's artificial and digital, and it's like they're still trying to capture, it's like it's even more refined, I feel like, as far as the experience goes. So yeah, I think it's like just hip hop's just in this crazy, people's always trying to say something's like dying, and I'm like, no, it's like, it's just changing. It's just, and it's like
always changing. It's
and
evolution.
it's one of the most alive art forms, I feel like. It's
Yeah.
because it's changing so much. So yeah, just try to
more
keep
so, I
up
think
with that.
more so in the studio or in somebody's at somebody's desk, whatever. But live hip hop to me is still very difficult to really nail down and get right. It's like I can go to a hip hop show and be like,
Yeah.
this is boring, or I can go to another hip hop show and this is amazing. Like
Yeah, the energy can translate differently.
yeah, because an amazing beat can work great listening to your car, but in a room with a bunch of people, and if you
Yeah.
don't have the right presence on stage, it just doesn't work. So
Yeah, and then sometimes
it's a hit
like,
or miss.
that's where it becomes being a performer. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
when I mean, to have that interaction. And if it's a digital beat, maybe you can't,
Yeah.
read the room.
Because sometimes
right?
some guys just become, just they're hype men. They just
Yeah.
they just run around stage and just a phrase here and there and don't really even perform. So it's
and that's the thing about
book,
even
book
rap
you should
now.
check out. I think you really like. And not to interrupt, but I've been listening to a book from Susan Rogers, and she was Prince's first audio engineer.
Okay.
oh, that's amazing.
And so she worked with him on Dirty Mind, Purple Rain, and Around the World in a Day. That's when he then built his studio in Minneapolis. So she was like, didn't want to move from LA. So she was like, fuck it, I'm going to go to school. And she got a PhD in psychology.
Wow.
Okay.
After dealing with Prince,
Yep, to learn how to deal
I know
with
it all
So-
now.
So she's written this book, and it's called This Is What It Sounds Like.
oh, that's
Okay. And just highly recommend it. It's awesome. But she talks about what Prince would do in those early days, because not everybody had a Lin, drum machine, right? And so when he got this money from Warner Brothers, he pretty much had this whole studio 24/7.
He just played everything himself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but what he would do is he would come in and he would just say roll tape, and he would just like play with these machines and just make sounds that were, and she was just in awe. He was a workaholic. He's like, and he was like 20 years old at the time.
Yeah.
And the one thing I'll never forget was she said, a lot of young stars these days, when they have that type of money and have that type of access and have that type, they're not serious about it. They're not serious about the art form. They're
The
not
work
serious.
ethic's not there.
The work ethic's not there. And she goes, the ones that, succeed are the ones with the work ethic. And it was just really interesting to sort of, but the whole process is fascinating.
Yeah. No, that sounds like
Because they were freaked out. They were freaked out at first. It was like he would come in, he'd play the drums, and he would just stop for a second, and they would think he messed up or something, and he would start playing.
He's got the cadence in his head
He was laying down all the tracks
in real
from
time.
his head in real time.
that's crazy.
And it's but I think you would love it because
Yeah.
that's
No, I mean, it's just hearing like somebody like Prince have like just, it's like his early years of just trying to figure it out, having like the access to it, because that's how I feel like Video Bread is. It's like just having the access
to the
just kinda
toys.
and I think it's one of those where you can kind of get lost playing with the toys so long that you're like, okay, how do I put all these toys together? But But yeah, at the same time, it's like that's the ultimate school, because that's how I was in, you know, the art department, where it's just like, yeah, I'm just in here working and kind of getting lost and just figuring it out. So yeah,
It's like
it's fun.
Like those times I've been in here and Misha's got a camera set up with a virtual set going, and it's just like you're just playing with toys.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that's the practical world building when you kind of get to that stage.
Oh, yeah,
You're like,
that's a good way
okay,
to put
like
it.
now I know how to. Because say it's like, you know, Prince got this song in his head, but now he's like, okay, how do I get this out of my head? You know, and then like, what what's the tools do I need to express this? So yeah, no, it's hearing stories like that is really cool.
It's crazy now though to know that almost everybody has the tools for that, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see. Because just like we were talking earlier, I don't think any of us have an hour and a half every night to watch television. None of, I mean,
Doesn't feel like it.
you know, and the reason why I'm caught up on the rehearsal is because my mother-in-law has been sick and Wendy has been out for a while. So last night was the first night home. It's like, we need to finish this. And she's like, absolutely, I need to laugh, you know?
Yeah.
And,
Escape.
but those episodes are 30 minutes. So you can blow through those in an hour and a half really easily. And I do think that the society is becoming to where we need to start realizing that maybe the content needs to be shorter, you know, to get more mass eyeballs on it. And
I want to do short form telenovelas.
Well,
Do you really?
It's
Really?
interesting you say
wanna
that,
hear more about
because
that.
if you're looking at from the point of view of the story build, I mean, that's what episodics have been doing now for several years with streaming. They're basically taking a 6 or 8 hour movie and breaking them into episodes. Well, you can do the same thing at 30-minute slots at a time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think just, you know, the fact that you was like, hey, I'm watching a Mission Impossible movie and I can pause it. Like the fact that it just saves my pause, like that's enough for me. I think because it's
Yeah.
like, I guess it's the way that I look at stuff. Because sometimes I get overwhelmed by having like an infinite watch list.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's why I made Homebody in a way. I'll get to that in a minute. But you know, it's like it starts to feel like homework, and then I just kind of disregard the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know,
You're
and
just like, how can I get through this fast?
And you're
as
leaving
quick as
some
the
good
next
stuff on the table, but they're just a victim of you
Yeah.
feeling that way.
Yeah.
So like
'Cause
just
sometimes-
having a list of like, oh, look at these 30 things, and yeah, I'm gonna jump back in here. Let me go hit that for another 30.
Yeah, but I don't know. To me, it's like I'm always just like I'm not really
Bouncing.
Yeah, I'm bouncing around. I'm never really consistent enough. So like even if I watch a movie, I'm fine with watching like one movie a week sometimes if it's that good, because I like to just think about it. You know, I'm really just thinking about
that's
all the levels.
other thing.
Yeah.
A good movie will demand that from you afterwards.
Yeah.
And if you're in this rhythm of I'm going on to
Just
the next, like, dude, give yourself in 2 days you're gonna finally have an epiphany about what that last 30 minutes was.
Right. And then some, I think also it's just like it's at a point now where it's like, you don't always feel like this, but it's like if I feel like I need to make something, I'm just going to feel guilty by sitting down and watching something.
Right.
So I'm like, it's almost just like I could just be doing this.
I know.
It's a weird feeling because you can't enjoy it.
And that's the thing with myself is I'm just playing with AI so much these days. It's like that's all I'm doing. Like when I'm at home now, and it's pretty much an addiction. But
Let's be clear, you've not renamed your genitals AI. Just for clarity.
well,
I just want to make sure.
That's the left and right.
absolutely.
Like you to mean A.
But no. But there's so much fun. There's so much fun with that right now. I mean, it's there's so much cool stuff going on just besides the ability to type in a prompt and have something funny come up.
Well, it is like I feel like it's something that has been provided to you that people are still wrapping their head around how to use it. So I think that's what's kind of fun about it is just really the human, because I think to me it's like as far as like making prompts and all this and just like all the speculative things that it's always improving to do. It just seems like it's getting to a point where somebody's going to make a movie with AI that's actually going to be watchable. Yeah. But I think it's not going to be necessarily the way that we think it is.
But see, my thing is, I have such a big ethical thing with it. I love playing with it. Do
you have an ethical thing about like paint?
Well,
It's just a tool, right?
Well,
it's like I know there's bigger implications, but to me, I think the artist side of me is just like there's a level of rebellion always. So
well, me too, and that's why I've been taking it to the extreme level. Even the little thing I did with you and Misha,
That was blasphemy, by the way. No, I was kidding.
What's that?
Blasphemy.
I thought that was blasphemy, by the way.
See, that's what I mean. It's like I felt after it was done, it was like I almost don't want to share this with anybody because I didn't ask your permission to have you riding a motorcycle in the desert with Misha,
Right.
You know, and how do you feel about that? I mean,
I think it's like I definitely feel like there's like the unwritten rule of people knowing like what thing is like going to be the prompt that's too far. You know?
okay, good. Okay, good.
You know
good,
what I mean?
good.
And I think
And Jamie will cross.
I was going to say, count on this guy to find it.
And guys
cross
like
it.
this, they're already watching you. They know the line crossers of the AI world.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I get that on that sense, and I get that, you know, it's like there's all these. It just goes up as far as like it can replace everybody, you know. But I think it's just like it's still got to interact with humans, and humans still have to interact and evolve with it, and there's so many just different ways to use it, use it and utilize it to where it's like I feel like that's also we have to see how they're going to use it, and then it's like
I'm excited. I'm excited about it. I'm so excited about it. But I think it's going to affect so many jobs everywhere, and I think that's where I think the morality thing sort of comes in.
Well, I think it's even like what if it's just besides even morality? I think that's a big point, but also like what about just like people's taste for it? Because say like if you can just tell like you know a graphic design is more of like an AI aesthetic, it's like what if people just reject it altogether?
I think that'll be the case because there's always, like you said,
or reappreciate people doing kind of more original type of stuff.
Yeah,
you gain the sense of if no one took time to actually make this, why do I want to take the time to put my eyeballs on it?
Yeah, it's like if it makes
Scroll,
clip art by its already, it's like well I'm already skipping past.
Well, there was, and I was talking to you about this that you know not in a creative aspect of what AI has been doing in like all these other positions of finance and I can't even think of another example, but that the AI is going to take over all these really intermediate positions and jobs, and that the human experience will actually be the premium that you pay for. Yeah. That people will want that and will go through a paywall to get to
be a human,
to interact with a human and not to have the AI experience.
And if you think about it from a distance, what it in hindsight will mean is AI is being deployed now to replace the experience we currently have, to only then be replaced with paying for that experience down the road that was originally how you interacted.
Yeah.
That's the big picture, and that's absolutely what's but to your point, it will be a paywall, and people will pay it. Yeah, because they're going to miss.
It's the frustration of and you know AI will get to a point where it's very sophisticated. It's already very sophisticated, but
I think it's just kind of like, you know, it's kind of crazy how much like AI is just being so thrown at us in this like very
and we didn't ask for it.
We didn't ask for it. And
no, it's like throwing a bucket of rocks into a pen full of raccoons. I mean, right now we're in that phase where the raccoons are just looking at rocks, trying to figure out how do we use these.
But I think also
with their adorable little hands.
I love those trash pandas.
No. In some cases that's true. But when you hear like an X-ray technician go, AI can pretty much diagnose. If there's something here,
yes,
that the human eye can't see
better than I can.
Yeah, big time.
So I'm talking about like folks like they're going to be out of work, right? So AI might not affect and I understand the home handcrafted or just feeling like I think that's maybe one of the reasons. Let's circle back that the reason why everybody's watching Mission Impossible because we know Tom Cruise is doing those stunts. Yeah. We know for a fact that isn't CGI.
Well, I mean,
we know for a fact that isn't
Yeah.
I think we don't really have I think that's what's kind of silly because as far as like, like I see your point with like Tom Cruise being, just the guy that is actually a superhero somehow. But, but like, it's like, I think that's the difference where it's like, sometimes we freak out about AI, but then what's like, well, we've been watching CGI, like, it's like, I don't think our problem is necessarily things just only being like fake or digital in that way, but I guess it's just kind of the means of how we go about it. Like, I don't know. I think those are like the confusing kind of,
I think part of it is
in the creative sense, but like when it's something that's like medical and like can bypass all these things, email for you, I think that's just kind of like, why, like, what are we waiting for?
Well, I think the big thing is that it's one of the few things that we're all experienced at the same time that's so pervasive across everything. Yeah. And you know what I mean? Like it's not just one.
Yeah, it's kind of like we're just talking about it so much. It's like it's already taken over essentially.
Yeah, well, it's like the internet. Like the internet became involved in everything we do. Well, and like AI is doing the same thing. It's reaching into every single industry in some way.
That's what I was going to say. It's like it felt like you know, the internet was already being used in such a way, not perfect by any stretch, but it seems like now we didn't realize how much AI was going to be integrated with the internet at the same time. So that's what it kind of also feels like.
Yeah.
We're, you know, it's like if people were making AI things just to post online, it kind of just already like spams the internet itself in a way.
Exactly.
Oh,
You know,
That's a-
it almost makes it unusable.
It's
you know.
recursion. It's like a recursion.
Yeah.
You know.
But it's like, now it's like, dang, did like, was like 2019, 2020 pre-COVID, you know, because to me, I feel like COVID couldn't have happened at any other time because it just showed like the world is able to connect online simultaneously and like all know what's going on. And then it's like, maybe because of that and so much like internet stuff was happening at once, like AI just was like, that's what people was working on, or that's what kind of, you know, put it into like you know, a fast development.
Express lane, yeah.
Somebody put it like this: like we didn't invent AI, we just discovered it. Like it's always been there.
Yeah.
It's the presence and the intelligence of, well, it's in the word, but it's always existed. We just discovered it. So, and I think that's to your point of saying that, like, okay, was this moment in our all collective memory?
Yeah. Well, because it's like
everything came to a point and said, "Oh, now this is the birth moment of AI to become this big thing."
Yeah, it's like the internet, you know, because it's also like 5G and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Too. It's like the internet had to be fast enough to be able to like do. And then you're like, oh shit, I didn't know that all the collective data of not just like what's on the internet as an archival like database, but like all the daily experiences of people putting their life into this is like
We've been
now
populating.
data, you know what I mean? Now data
Yeah.
that's going to be reused
We've been
so
populating
for
it.
better or worse, you know, it's like it's already alive and it's already more viewed than you know, so
Do you think that's a 2001 moment?
it definitely is. Yeah. I definitely feel like that is like a relevant 2001 moment. And I think the next 2001 moment is like just whatever consequences it become, you know, when it actually becomes a threat, you know, because that's what kind of 2001 was about. He had actually had to, you know, destroy it once it tried to destroy him, and not everybody made it. You know?
I want to rewatch that again. That's I remember watching that as a kid. You know,
Oh,
as
yeah,
a kid, you
As a kid, I
as a kid, you see, you know, Star Wars and all this stuff, and I plugged this movie, and it's like, man, this spaceship's taking forever.
Yeah, it's super slow.
It's a slow burn.
No. But it's
In a good
it's
way.
realistic, and you look at the set stills now. You look at the set stills now of that set, and it would totally pass.
Oh yeah.
For now, I mean,
Yeah.
it's the set design's beautiful on that. I mean, it's just a great film.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I think it's, you know, to me, I'm like, why not people make AI? You know, it's like, even though that, you know, you can appreciate that story on its merits and its practicality for the time, but I'm like, it was also cool because that was just a big idea.
Yeah.
You know, I think now we have tools to just make bigger ideas. Hopefully, you know, it sucks that we have all these resources and people are encouraged to make these like short form things, you know. It's like it obviously shows people have the energy to like want to create, but they just don't take it like that extra step.
Is that why you liked
Forward.
Megalopolis or whatever?
I didn't necessarily say I liked it.
Okay,
I appreciate it. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Good clarification.
There we go. Good.
clarification.
I appreciate this guy. That's the long game right there. It took
Yeah.
him like 40 years to
Yeah.
make, and he made what he wanted to make, and so.
So I heard like the reports, they were just saying that they would be like, hey, the scene's ready, we got to go. And they're like, he was just in there smoking so much fucking pot. Like, Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh,
at
yeah.
at like 70 something?
yeah, with this film. That's why. Do you
You
think
have
that,
to smoke a lot to watch it.
do you think that's the case when you saw it? It's like, dude, he was like stoned out of his mind, or
With Francis, I don't know. I think the Coppolas are just probably off his own wine. Like,
okay.
I feel like because it's like after I watched it, I watched it with a friend, and I was like, do you think that I was like, Francis Ford Coppola and Nicolas Cage, you know, they definitely have like kind of the same, you know, like they're related. You don't get, you know, we don't get reminded of all that all the time, but it's like they kind of have the same track record as far as like if they make something good, it's like great, almost genius level of like, but then when it flops, it's like, you know, your question like, this dude is terrible. Like, why?
Not a lot of middle ground.
Yeah. So I'm like, I think it's just
wow.
like a Coppola type of thing. You know what I mean?
Wow,
Even
that's
Sofia Coppola too.
Good
like,
point.
That's a great insight.
You know, it's like they're like, oh, her acting terrible.
Yeah.
Her movie's pretty good.
Yeah. What, you didn't like Godfather 3?
It's but
Lost in Translation, though.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
Pretty good.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I haven't watched that in forever.
I just remember when it, and I think maybe I just saw it the one time when it came out, but I remember thinking to myself, this is just quiet and delightful and beautifully done.
And those movies are great when they come along, like, and the ones that catch you by surprise like that too.
Again, context. I don't know what was before.
And I think it also has to be your mindset when you watch it,
too.
too.
100%.
You know, because if you're
100%.
anxious or whatever, and it's like, I can't sit and watch this, you know, but...
That's one of the things I think is an unspoken power of the theater, of going to the movies to see them. We're all aware of the collective, you know, the mob mentality around a movie where you're enjoying it with a group. But I also feel like going to the movies versus being at home, there's something about walking in that theater, looking for your seat, popcorn, drink, whatever. Wherever you were in your head before you got there, you're kind of forced into.
You're going there to go there. Yeah.
And I think that's a huge, subtle difference between sitting on the couch and choosing something versus sitting in that seat at the theater.
You have to give it a chance.
Yeah, you're basically, all right, take me on the ride. Here I am.
Well, have you ever walked out of it? Have you ever walked out of a movie?
I have.
Yes.
What movie?
That's a great question. I'm going to have to think.
I can tell you, it wasn't the movie's problem. It was the attendees and the actual movie theater itself.
Oh, wow.
That's a bummer.
So I went to see 300 when it first came out, and the theater's just down the road from us. So I went by myself.
That was it. That was when I walked out. When I saw their abs were airbrushed, I said, fuck this. I'm out of here.
No, that's not possible.
Oh, shit. Really?
So I went there. No. And
Are you guys serious?
Those were airbrushed, but that's not why. I didn't walk out on 300
You did?
at the theater. I did not.
Okay, you did not. Okay.
No, I did.
Okay. He did, but not for the airbrushed abs.
No.
That was my made-up reason.
I left to go home to get my airbrush kit and start working on my own.
Well, just the other guy I would like to bring on this podcast worked on 300. So
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a diss on the movie.
Great film.
I love the movie,
That's
but it was because it was 8 o'clock.
And I've been telling him to listen to our podcast, so I just want to make sure you're going to say something. That visual effects was terrible.
No, I love the movie. It was just, again, it was, you know, you think that people pay money to go to the theater to watch the movie.
They're yapping the whole
So, number one, the movie starts and the front lights never go out. So it's just like kind of like this right now, and the movie's playing.
Yeah, like that part. That's a big part.
Yeah, like I'm not transported. I'm still like I can see people's faces. And then there was a family there with like a 3-year-old. And they were just letting the 3-year-old run up and down the aisle.
That's a deal breaker.
Yeah, and it's for 300. It's not a Disney movie. It's
breaker.
You know,
like get up and like kick them.
It's like, this is the theater.
Into the pit you go. Spartan.
You're like, I don't know how that was slow mo, but
But it looks
it
cool.
was cool. Yeah. You got to pull it out.
To answer your question, Jamie, Pearl Harbor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's
I never saw that shit show.
Did your friend work on that movie?
No.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's.
I walked.
Well, what part? It's like 4 hours long.
Yeah, not early enough. I remember thinking
3 hours
I
and
was
58 minutes in. I don't know how this ends, but I'll just never know.
I do remember as I left thinking, should have left sooner. I gave it, far too, probably halfway or so. I just, at some point was like, no.
I mean, I haven't been forever since I watched it, but I do feel like the Pearl Harbor part happened way too late in the movie to make it enjoyable. It's like, I want to see this, like, kind of like when Rick was talking about Oppenheimer, like he wouldn't just see the bomb go off at the very beginning. I kind of get it.
3-year-old that went in to see
300.
See, I'm one of the few that actually loved that film.
Which film?
It wouldn't
Pearl Harbor?
Oppenheimer.
Oh, well, I wouldn't.
I did
that.
too.
Yeah, I wouldn't change anything.
No, I wouldn't either. That's a Rick problem.
Slow atomic burn, but it's a slow.
That's a Rick problem.
I remember, and it's really funny because I remember seeing Interstellar, and I saw that at the theater and thought how terrible it was. I was like, this movie is terrible.
But on rewatch,
I rewatched it.
It gets better every time.
I was like, why did I hate this movie?
So good.
I was like, why did I hate this movie? This movie is brilliant.
So good.
And it gets better every time.
Yeah. I mean,
that's one of those. It's like Shawshank. If I'm scrolling and it pops up, I'm going to,
Yeah, I'm in.
And if I'm lucky, they're on Water Planet because that's one I just.
Yeah, that's the scene right there.
I really, really dig that scene. It speaks to me.
Yeah. And you know the whole thing that there's in the background, the ticking.
Yes.
It's like
every
the
time.
Day, I think. It's what every day is tick. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and again, layers. That dude gets enough layers that it was like peeling an onion. Every time I'd catch another viewing of it, peel it back again, find something new.
Did you like Inception? Not Inception, but Interstellar.
Yeah, I like both.
Yeah.
I like Chris Nolan quite a bit.
Yeah.
I love him, man.
I think he's kind of the modern. There's just certain directors I
Yes.
feel like are just kind of holding. They make it exciting.
Yep.
They make it exciting to watch the movie. They make it. Makes me want to be a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Kind of. That type of vibe. But I think Dark Knight's still my favorite of all his. Like nothing's touching that one. I feel like it's just perfect.
Man, Prestige.
Prestige is his slept on one. That one.
Prestige.
I need to watch that again.
I watch
Prestige
that
is
every
great.
year.
Prestige.
Yeah.
No,
Prestige. Yeah.
That might be like one of
A
his,
certain
one of his
date
better
or
original-
just randomly? Is there a calendar entry?
Yeah,
Prestige Study 2.
I get in my like early 20th century gear.
Yeah, he puts on it. He gets
Yeah.
out his
I showed my
Tony
kids
walks in. She's like, "Oh shit, it's Prestige night."
I'm doing a lot of terrible hand magic.
Yeah.
Over here.
Wait a second. Can I see your hands? Make sure you're not missing a
Yeah, you
thumb.
gotta
Okay.
Hand magic.
Oh no.
Well, so I definitely want to make sure that we touch on some advice for the youngins out there before we're done today,
He is
because
a
we
youngin'.
are in graduation season. But
Yeah.
beforehand, you let a little slip of the tongue, and I want to circle back to it. Homebody,
Okay.
please.
Yeah, that's like my true form. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a kind of a side project that took up kind of like a lot of last year, just as far as I heard that what's it called? Procreate. They made a Procreate Dreams. I guess they announced it like the end of 2023, which is just like a drawing app. And they was like, yeah, we're making an animation app. And I used to draw a whole lot when I was younger, and I kind of just fell out of it. But I was like, I want to try to learn and dabble in some animation. So one day I just kind of had this picture of this, just had a vision pop in my head of a house just sitting on a couch and just saying homebody. And like, I just was like telling it to a friend. He's like, yeah, that sounds cool. And it's like, so it just kind of stuck, and I would just start doing research of just different ways I thought the cartoon would look and everything, and kind of just forming kind of a personality. And it ended up turning into he's like a cartoon movie review host kind of thing, that I just turned into, a social media personality.
It's really good. I learned
Well,
that.
so are they little snippets of animation, or
Well, it's like I want to think of him like he's like the laziest cartoon. Like he just doesn't leave his couch. Like
I love
so,
that.
So the animation is very minimal.
Yeah.
It's very it's manageable for me to.
but you've given it a justification because
Yeah.
he's a homebody.
Exactly.
I
exactly.
love that.
So it's he's always just sitting on the couch, and he just changes his channel. And he also just has kind of an obscure taste.
So does he present his thoughts on something he's seen, or make commentary, or what's
Kind of, yeah. So it's like I kind of look at it like mixing kind of like a Turner Classic movie, like tonight's a noir night,
Yep.
or tonight's we're commemorating this person or whatever. So
Right.
like it's kind of that idea, but like trying to see how you blend that into this like TikTok, YouTube, social media
Format, yeah.
format. So like on the page itself, it's like you can kind of just either scroll through. If it's like on Instagram or TikTok, it kind of just seems like a continuous loop of him like channel surfing presents the movie.
that.
Channel surf, so it's like you can share it and put it out there to where it's like, oh shit, like I've never heard of that movie. I'm gonna just save it, watch it later, or like, oh, like check this out, homebody, just watch this movie, like something.
I learned
like
so
love
much.
that.
I learned so much on your which one was the Nostra?
Nosferatu.
Probably,
Yes.
Yeah, it's like so the first.
I learned so much on those.
That was cool too, because that was
What,
like,
because he makes commentary on after seeing it?
yeah, I try to give it like I'll talk about it and just like the things that I like about it. So I'll try to give it like some historical context, kind of like going back to like who the filmmaker was, or just kind of who the vision was. So like say for Nosferatu, like I just did the original one, like the 1920, 100-year-old one.
Yeah.
Felt like that was a good start. It's cool to just talk about a 100-year-old movie, but
Yeah.
But yeah, just try to
In a
break
digital format with a cartoon.
with a digital cartoon character that's
Exactly.
a talking house inside of a house. Yeah,
So meta.
So meta. And then he's got a little like window there, so somebody might live inside of him. I'm just saying. One day it might expand.
Nice.
But
So anybody could find this peppered through socials. Homebody.
yeah,
what's
it
the
was
handle?
Peep Homebody. So every episode he's like peep this, peep that.
Nice.
just kind of
Peep homebody.
yeah. So it's all, he's getting the views of him viewing other things, trying to tell you to view other things in this overly viewing
Love it.
social network we have.
Love it.
But yeah, and I've kind of put him a little bit aside to work on this video, but yeah, it's something I want to stay kind of consistent.
Well, it sounds
on.
like easy enough to come back to that.
Yeah, he's kind of, the videos are pretty short form. It's weird that they're short form, but on like Instagram, they would still be considered too long. They're like 4.5, 5 minutes, which I feel like is enough. Cause I don't like want to spoil the movie. So like I'll talk about the historical context, and then I'll talk about like what I like about it on like a performance basis or on like a stylistic basis. And then like I might break down or spotlight a particular scene.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
And then it's just kind of like, well, if you like that type of movie, then like check it out.
Enough
like,
to entice, but no spoilers.
Yeah, and I think, and it's also trying to be like more celebratory about Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was like celibate.
Celibate.
Only celibate movies. So veggie Homebody showing Veggie Tales and the SpongeBob movie.
So Homebody doesn't have a girlfriend, is what you're saying?
Yeah, he's got some housewives.
Are they desperate?
No. Only for me. But no, it's like I try to celebrate more movies and like give movies praise rather than just kind of like be another channel that just bashes movies or hates
there's
movies.
enough of that out there.
Yeah, there is enough of that. You remember like when that was a big thing in the 2000s, like, what was it called? The Critic.
The Critics. That was a show that I
The Critic, but there was like
recently.
the Soup.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we just, and there was those long, like, I love the 80s, and there was all those things that were just bashing everything. That was like a whole culture around bashing everything.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like, like it's weird how that kind of becomes its own subgenre in the movie review sphere online. Because I did a lot of research just to be like, what's kind of what is this niche that I'm trying to get myself in? How can I differentiate from it or even blend? Because it's kind of crazy how, like, people animate over here on this side of YouTube, but then like all their animation videos are just about like, random things, but then nobody incorporates that with like talking about an actual topic of something else. So you're kind of like, how can I talk about movies, but also be cool about animated and cool about, So yeah, just trying to mix like all these other creative endeavors that I can put together that's kind of has something to do with movies, but not really. So it's kind of like a little split.
Thing.
Yeah, it's like a little thing I can just do for myself. Yeah.
Very cool.
One thing you should never do, okay, is like what Sydney Sweeney did today, I guess. She introduced her bathwater infused soap that she's selling.
Oh, there's going to be homebody merchandise. Don't worry.
They're going to be merch.
Her bathwater.
Because it's all about house care and
Like her
bathrobes and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Her bath
product.
Yeah, homebody products, just like really, I think it's like, I love going to the theater, but for homebody, I have to like sell
Homebody.
like watching movies at home, watching the ultimate binge watchers.
It's a perfect plushie, dude. I can see it.
Yeah, no, I do definitely want to do the plushies. Got to get the 3D printer working. So.
Yep.
Homebody, the toilet paper.
Yeah, feels right at home.
Oh, that was
Wipe away your anxieties.
Yeah, check
that was perfect.
It's like a DVD with a toilet paper with it. Like,
yeah.
it's like, oh shit, they got the Nosferatu toilet paper.
Well, so it is graduation season. What if you were forced out on a stage and a microphone put in front of your mouth? What words of advice would you give to kids graduating? What does your version today wish he could go back and tap little Tevan on the shoulder as a freshman at Western? What would he whisper in his ear to
Run!
Stay away from Jamie Penn.
They say they went to Western. Don't talk to them. Yeah, that's a good question. I'd probably just say, just keep going. I think just keep exploring kind of whatever that creative like problem is in your head. I feel like you can't really solve it. Try to solve it. And I think that's just led me to. At first it's like I just wanted to kind of do one type of art form, and then like in the pursuit of that, I've like done so many other things. So I think it's like not you still want to like obtain the goal, but also like let yourself deviate a little bit. Let yourself just get sharp at a lot of things.
Well, let me ask you this, because a lot of folks that are in our industry, no, it makes total sense. But it led me to the thought of the one thing I think I could accurately say we all share, probably I'm speaking for you, but we're our worst critics. We are incredibly hard on ourselves because
Oh yeah, no, I think
for various reasons, we all have our own reasons.
now I feel like that's I would, say I would change my my speeches, be like, yeah, don't be your worst critic.
Well, that's what I wanted to, yeah. So how would you tell, what have you learned yourself? And granted, this has been in a fairly, how old are you?
32.
Yeah. So we're talking in the last 10 years as a snapshot. How has that changed for you?
I mean, honestly, yeah, it just kind of depends on different things. I've did so many different kind of projects, and it's kind of funny, like when you start doing a lot of things, and like depending on like the time constraints you have, or just or like level of importance, it's like sometimes you can thrive in doing something that you feel like is secondary, and then like once you like be like, oh, this is like my personal, and then you just can't get to it for whatever reason, and you almost have to like. You really have to practice whatever your mindset you're in at that particular time to one thing versus another thing. Because sometimes it's like it's very easy to help, light a thing, and then if somebody's just telling you to do it, and then you fumble when you're trying to like write your own thing for somebody else to do. So it's like I think it's like be open to collaboration, be open to make a couple of mistakes, lean into like the spontaneity of mistakes happening, and be assured of yourself to like know what to do in that situation as well. Because I think that's where like in terms of just art, like it's all, I'm always striving for a thing, and something turns out differently. Yeah, that usually turns out better.
And being open to that happening, because if you resist it, you're still stuck in your box of the old idea when this new one was presented to you.
Exactly. It's like, look at it like that's a newer draft.
Yep.
The draft just doesn't mean that it's on paper. It's like now you're now you're playing in practicality. It's like now this is production. Like the problems you're coming up with on that have their own drafts that they need to be worked out on, and the same with like post-production. It's like you have to just hold on to that vision. But that's why I think it's cool to call it directing, because it's more like you're just steering the ship.
Yes, exactly.
Rather than just,
that's what a great director is.
That's what a great analogy is. Yeah, which the control is still there. You're just not gripping it so tight that it can't breathe as it wants to breathe.
It's like suffocated. It's like you're holding the kitty underwater.
Yeah,
you're like, just let it.
Well, I think it's like remind yourself that just because you're in control doesn't mean it's like 100%. Like it's something that you have to control.
Yes.
Like it's something that is like you're playing with things that are kind of
uncontrollable. It's also don't be bigger than the work.
Exactly.
Right. Don't let yourself be the. Don't be bigger than the work.
Yeah. Don't like take it. Don't take it that personal. Too. Because I think that's what can like hinder upon that.
Yeah. I love the analogy of steering and guiding the ship.
That's a good one.
Yep.
I always think of it like I always have to look at everything as it's all disposable. Like it may mean something to me personally that I'm working on it, and the craft of it is personal. But at the end of the day, it has a short shelf life, and most things do. Like they're going to be shown once or twice, and then that's it. But
I think it's just saying that. The word meaning, it's like us adding meaning to certain things can really trip you up.
Yeah.
Or adding too much meaning or feeling like something like, like, what is this? That trips people up about life. Just like, what is it? Like, I feel like it's almost like it's going to mean something, but it doesn't necessarily even have to mean anything to get it done.
Yeah. Meaningless has meaning almost.
Yeah. Kind of like a positive, like not nihilistically, but kind of. Just like, like I'm gonna make it mean something by me putting in the work or the people that I'm working with. Like I'm gonna make this feel like it's at least a good time to look back on or something like that.
Yeah, I tell my daughter that same thing. Like you may not, if you're doing something for a client, you may not enjoy what the product is you have to make, but enjoy the process of doing so.
Yeah.
Try to get something out of the process.
That's what gives it meaning. Is
absolutely
the thing itself may be meaningless because it's just an advertisement for something or whatever, but the process to get it there and all those problem solving moments that you have is the meat of the whole thing. So it's like enjoy that.
Yeah.
And I think what you said too is like just make things, like is to always pursue that creative drive, and that's what we're doing here. Like I've always wanted to do something like this, and if it's good or not, I don't care. The fact that we're just trying to do it is meaningful.
I think it's like the trying is the doing.
Yeah.
But I would also just, if I would have to tell graduates, I would be like, think about it like this. Like Tom Cruise will spend like 9 months of the year doing like learning how to fly a helicopter or learning how to like jump off a cliff or learning how to just to do it just for one scene of one movie to where it's like, you start breaking it down. You're like, is this normal? Like, is this okay? Like, is this like, can you do it for like just pure entertainment? And it's just like, yeah, he's allowed to do that. So you're allowed to like put as much work and dedication into whatever you want to do. Cause it's like, he does that just for you to sit down and eat popcorn and look at it. Like,
see,
something like risk your life. Like, he literally dies, live and dies for this thing.
Yeah.
And I think it just shows like how much dedication one can put into anything, you know?
Yeah. Well, go back to the process of editing. I mean, you can spend, I was just showing my wife the other day, like I've spent hours and hours, easy, hours and hours and hours on like 4 seconds of video.
Oh yeah.
But you get obsessive about it because
Absolutely.
you're trying to reach this feeling for it, and you can't quantify it, what it is.
And dude, sometimes it's 2 frames, sometimes it's 3 frames, you know, and people, yeah, I could be a frame fucker. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
please don't.
Yeah. That's he's in there frame fucking. And no, you've got to get it right. You've got to get it right.
Yeah. But you also have to let it go sometimes, though.
Exactly.
Well,
that's what deadlines for.
Aside from not wanting to be a frame fucker, any advice to the graduating class this year you'd have, Jamie?
Leave those frames alone.
No.
Hands off the frame.
I think what Tevan said is absolutely perfect. It really amazed me for a long time when I started owning this business, the amount of like resumes I would get from people, but never any sample work. It's like, okay, so I'm glad you attended the school. I'm glad you, read the books and turned in your reports, and you don't have anything small, even that you produced there, that you want to show that you put something in it to make it a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. It's like if and it's even for me, like I would love to have more things than I have, but it's really like learning about how, like, you got to learn how to, you have to get it done.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? It's like,
you got to toot your own horn.
Exactly.
And that's when you have somebody that gives you something, that they have the discipline of, here's the work that we've done, and then you're like, okay, wow, this is great. They've sort of got it together, right?
Yeah.
But I just could not imagine, like, trying to find something that I wanted to do the rest of my life, go to school for it, and not have something to show, for it when I left the school, or something proud enough that I could.
What about you, Misha? Fire up that microphone over there. We haven't checked in with you in a bit. What advice would you have for the kiddos? Misha.
What?
Nat Man.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Sorry, I was channeling my inner Rick Boone.
Now I would watch Nat Man 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, nappier than
What'd you say?
the nappier than that.
Nappier than ever.
What you got, Misha?
I would say that be as malleable as you can with your skills, and your skills are going to get you a lot further than like anything else. And networking, just being as pleasant as you can to be around, because that's what's going to get you your next gig, is just people wanting to hang out with you.
It's great advice. We've long said at the end of the day, all things being equal, I'd prefer to work around and with people I like. And the work's hard enough. I should at least be able to be surrounded by people I like, who I think a lot of, on top of the fact that obviously they're qualified and capable of doing the work. But all things being equal.
Yeah, like learn from people, and like, find those people that, they kind of want to do the same thing as you.
Find your tribe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, build it, if you can.
Build it.
And
not just find it, but build it. Add to it.
And they all have,
and bring others.
And they all have the same goal in mind of like not being the hero.
Yeah.
Of like, oh no, we're dedicating all this time to make this thing, and that's the goal. Like we're not trying to get all the
make it about the work.
and not be self.
And that's actually great advice. If you can because you'll always be distracted. There'll always be things to tug and pull on you. But if you can always let the North Star be the work.
Yeah. And I think that helps just as far as being like a critic of yourself. Like if everybody's involved and everybody can put their like self criticisms aside for like the thing, you know, like you can start
for the greater good.
Yeah. You can start being like, critical in like in a productive way.
Yes.
And
because it's about the work.
And be accountable too. Like, you're gonna make mistakes. Like that's gonna happen. But
Yeah, I think it's like knowing the nature. It's like it's like if you're a boxer, you got to get used to being able to get hit just as much as you can punch.
Right.
So it's
What
like,
is it? Tyson says everybody got a plan till they get punched in the
face.
mouth.
Yeah, exactly,
Yep,
exactly.
yep.
So it's like it's like.
Yep.
And we live in Muhammad Ali, land. So it's just kind of like, you gotta float like a butterfly and sting like a bee on set. Like there's, or just any other artistic endeavor. There's always something popping up, but you kind of also have to be comfortable and confident in knowing that you can solve that problem as well, or have people around you that, like save yourself some trouble. If you know some people that are skilled in a thing that you have an issue with, like, it's better to like know how to communicate that to them, and they can help you out.
Help you solve it.
shared experience.
Yeah.
What about you, Jay, man? Any epiphanies or?
I would say, I mean, we've kind of covered a lot of things that I would say of just be very open-minded, and you can have a plan for your life. And like, I want to be this thing.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to be a director when I was a kid. Like, I'm going to make movies. That was my North Star. I was like, that's what I want to do. But then I thought, well, that's almost seems unattainable. I almost like shut myself down. And then, well, there's other avenues to get something similar. So I got into television production, news, and all that. And then that eventually led into me creating things on my own that would show up on TV. So it was like, I'm getting closer. Then moved into working at IML and working in a production facility. And then we were doing large scale corporate events. And now, a lot of my work does get shown on a very big screen in front of a lot of people. So I'm as close to being a movie maker as possible without being in Hollywood and making movies. So,
But you're in the industry.
Yeah, it's like it shows you how big the North Star is. That you can still find something livable just in the pursuit of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then and also I think it's like just even in my being a teenager to being now, it's like there was already like tech and stuff out that was more accessible, but now it's like it almost is like no excuse at all. You know what I mean? It's like with AI now, it's like you don't even have to draw the picture no more.
I know.
Just like it's like I'd rather just embrace creativity in any way you have it. You know what I mean? Because it's like you can't just like come out with something like, oh, you can shoot this on your iPhone.
Well, what excites me,
you need an IMAX to make a movie. It's like, no, I'm just going to use the phone. Like
just do it.
What excites me is
Like you said it right.
there's going to be somebody like a young prince out there right now that has all these tools that literally will lock themselves in a room
the Prince
for 24
iPad
hours. You know what I'm saying? And that's what excites me is that the first artist that can really use these tools and lock themselves in the room and be disciplined about it. I think the work's gonna be phenomenal.
I think, I mean, you're seeing it already. There's people that are making short films. And
they're shorts.
There's the CGI, it's pre-AI that are blowing
there's people
Industrial Light and Magic away. And they're doing it in their basement. And the tools are there, but the passion has to meet the tools. And you just have to create it. Like, don't let yourself be the roadblock. Just go out there and do it. That's,
No, and I think another big roadblock is just kind of, I think the framework of how I guess all of it's presented as far as like likes and views and all I think that trips a lot of people up too, because they feel like it's like worthless if not enough people seen it or whatever. But it's like it's really just about making it. You know what I mean?
Because because some people seem to put too much stock into I have to get eyes on it to make it have value,
or I have to like adhere to making it this specific type of way that isn't how I speak, or does it like I'm trying to try to conform to a certain like visual aesthetic or genre. And then it's like, man, this network is too open and free for all that shit. Like, it's like you should just, it's like, of course, things is going to kind of homogenize and it's like certain ways, but I feel like now it's to me, it's kind of cool that like there's a lot of passion and artistic existential questions happening, and like whether it's in the industry and all this, because it's like there is a lot of passion behind all these things, to where it's like short form is actually competing with like streaming, which is actually competing with it's like it's like an attitude of being like, forget a North Star, I'm just gonna make my own star. You know what I mean? Like
I'm gonna smelt
I'm gonna make my own artificial sun. But I think so. To me, I think that's just what's kind of exciting. I try to like look back at like the passion that I guess that I have personally at just the time I was just fell out of the sky and landed on Earth. Like just the younger kids that have the same kind of like discovery from like watching a cool movie or a cool video or hearing a cool song, and it's like I want to just make that, I want to copy that, I want to whatever. And it's like, but with the newer tools, with the newer perspective, the newer context, I think that's what what's exciting. I think, you can't really stop kids from that, but I would be like, right now is like the most exciting time to get into this. Like the world is almost made for it.
That's great to hear, because you hear so much
You hear
the opposite.
You hear a lot of opposite and a lot of fear, and I think it's like it's kind of. I mean,
Do you think that's people that are currently looking over their shoulders and going, "Oh, I'm not
some
top echelon of that caliber"?
Some people are tough critics. It's just like either tough critics, or I think it's like people that aren't, they're not even really that artistic. That's maybe panicking.
That's
I
true.
don't know. I think just people just panic about anything. So it's like, I don't know. You can't really just listen to people panicking all the time.
It's always on fire anyway. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's kind of like you just got to avoid the fire. Or like, fuel the fire. I don't know. But I think it's like if it's causing that much of a commotion, that means it's like it's at least exciting. I don't think you should completely avert it. Like sometimes I'm like, man, that's just so Kentucky of me to run away from like technology. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like
shoes and reading in the writing.
Yeah, I'm like, goodness great. Like if I, there's probably somebody like, in Tokyo or like in New York alone that's just like way like leagues better at AI than me, and I'm over here like, we can't even use this. This is scary. I'm already cooked by that point.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I'm diving into it, because you've got to be up to date with it.
You have to.
With the changes, and we have to adapt because, maybe our clients want to understand how you can, do the prompts a certain way or.
Yeah, I feel like it's like we already had, like, as far as like even the prompting, just as far as making frames, it's like we're the people that already speak that language to each other anyway. Yeah. So now it's like, to
we're
me,
just telling it to a device that's going to do the same thing that we would do.
Yeah, it's like we know what jobs or what particular like thing we'd have to do to even achieve that the old way. So it's like now it's like, okay, that
you already have the shorthand.
We should have the shorthand up. I don't think that's necessarily bad. It's like it's like we've been doing that with Microsoft Word, or like our autocorrect, just like how many layers of
it's just a really advanced Clippy.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just like Clippy on steroids.
I see you're trying to make a movie.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I think Clippy has been on every episode that we've done.
Really?
I think so.
Clippy's
I've heard, which is fine. I think we need to talk about Clippy.
It's our informal mascot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think one last question.
Okay.
Because we always talk about a conspiracy theory. Do you buy into any of those? Do you have a?
Is there one you hold special?
I feel like conspiracy theories are like everybody's
like.
Got
Did
their
you
own
date a
personal
girl
one.
that used to claim she slept with Bigfoot or anything like that?
I was Bigfoot.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
As far as conspiracy theory, I guess I don't know. I try to avoid, I guess, any of the mainstreams ones now. They just sound too. I don't know. Like I hate the fact that like it seems like every conspiracy theory is starting to just become the one same conspiracy theory. Yeah. Like I'm like, how's
the big
Diddy and Prince and Q and all, like it's like they're all the same now. Like they're all like everything has a conspiracy.
It's like
theory.
Why wasn't I invited to that meeting? Yeah.
Like even say like in hip hop, it's like Kendrick Lamar is like definitely like a. It's like, why does his fan base like always like decipher all of his songs to the point where it's like, is he even like conspiracy? It's like this. I don't know, but I do think that like I do like to like look at things in a very Twilight Zone nefarious thing with all this technology.
I was wondering what your thoughts were with The Shining and the.
Yeah, no, I think we just live in a crazy...
The moon landing real.
I feel like we live in a crazy surveillance state, and working at a video place only creeps me out even more so. So being on here, I'm like, I'm finally in front of the camera.
I know, dude.
It's a whole nother world now they're going to do.
I know.
But yeah, no, it's crazy how much, everybody looks at each other and everything's about watching and performing and everything is kind of a movie. So I think that's my conspiracy theory that all these movie tropes and everything are so funneled and influenced of our culture that we're all kind of caught up in our own, media world.
Guest stars of their own movies. Everybody's
exactly. So I don't know what conspiracy theory that is, but that's my own little dystopian world there.
I like that take.
That's scaring me.
See,
call back to Andy Warhol.
See, it's definitely that they live.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like imagine they live in Videodrome on an app. Like
so I need to watch They Live.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Yeah. So
and then watch.
I think I tried
any Family Guy episode after that because of that. Him fighting that chicken is.
Well, I think I watched like the first 15 minutes of it, and it was just the wrestler walking down the train tracks, and I was like, "When's this movie going to start?"
Dude, I mean, it's kind of like on the surface, it's really, really cheesy, but like subtextually, it's really like brilliant. So I don't know. That's
That's a good way
for you.
Yeah.
You know, like Lawnmower Man.
Yeah. Great.
Or
Isn't there a
Chase
strategy
Craig.
of that?
Exactly.
Or what's that?
By the way,
Or Chase Craig.
Chase
Chase
Craig. I don't know
Craig.
that one.
Yeah, that's a whole other episode right there. I'll tell you all about that later.
oh boy.
Oh, let's talk. We have some homework to do.
Yeah.
No, well,
On a cliffhanger.
yeah, no doubt. Well, Tevan, this was fantastic.
Thank you. That was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah,
That was
this
a
is
lot
kind
of
of
fun.
this is the
Thank you,
kind of
brother.
chats we like to have. It's
Yes.
like people that are creative and make things. So
You were everything we knew you'd be.
yeah.
Okay, I'm glad I didn't disappoint. So
Not at all.
that was awesome. That was fun. That was cool.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Tevan.
Thank you.
All right.
Be good.
Peace.
Recharge the reels, keep the vision fulfilling. B-roll spinning, but the stomach's growling. Director's chair empty, now we straight prowling. Pizza or tacos, a debate for the ages. Snack table wars, flip the script, turn the pages. Gear stacked high like a mountain of dreams. Pause in the hustle, but we're still a team. Angles and light, yeah, we know the schemes. But even auteurs need ice cream streams. Breaking the frame, but we ain't out the game. Shoot life heavy, but the vibe stays the same. Two dudes chillin', mid-take thrillin'. Recharge the reels, keep the vision fulfilling. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
PenIsland.net for all your pen needs.